It's just, I think it's going live now. I think that actually worked this time. I think it's live. What do
It's
we
very.
say?
I have a subject that we
Okay,
could
go for
talk.
it.
So I don't know if this is a problem for anybody else, but I think so. I've set aside time in my early morning to to do my creative work
Yeah.
because throughout life I have all these ideas. So I set
And
aside
it's
this time.
pretty early, right? You get up at like 6 or
Yeah, I
something and go for
try
it.
6, 7 might be a little bit more realistic. But I start feeling guilty at around 6:30.
Good. Good. That's a really key initial ingredient.
But it's become sort of a habit, and so I'm doing it, and it presents a different problem, which is when you have a million things that you could be working on, how do you sort of pick the thing to do?
Yeah.
And I'm really envious of. I've heard Stephen King just gets up in the morning and I think he has a 4 or 5 hour chunk, and he just first thing he just writes for 4 or 5 hours, and then that's his day, that's his work day.
We
But
we hate that guy.
yeah, but it seems so. I have that as this ideal in my head that if you just were to work for a chunk, I mean, I don't have that much time, but if I could do 2 hours a day and just like keep the ball moving, that eventually I'd get somewhere. But the problem is, how do you pick the thing? Like, how do you know which thing you're going to do today?
But aren't
And
you in? Well, okay. I was gonna short stop your big revelation here, but it sort of feels like there's probably a thing that you want to work on more, right? It's not like you look at your like shelf, your library of possible fantastic contributions to the world today and stumble over it.
well,
Or do you feel like you're getting up, you're just like, I got to do something, but I don't quite know what to do. How do I choose something?
yeah, a little bit. Like, I it sort of feels like my happiness, my overall happiness, is dependent on whether I know, whether I wake up and I'm like, I know what I'm doing or not.
Yeah.
Because when I do know, that's all good. But if I don't know, and I was just trying to think about that. So you don't have that. You always have the sort of, when you're going to work on something, you know what you're going to do.
No, it's a good point. I do have it. What it is for me is, yeah. So lacking discipline. See, it really helps to be lacking discipline because then I just don't come down here into my studio and do anything if I don't have an idea of what to do. So if I come down, it's because I'm going to work on a piece of music or I'm excited about that video project or whatever it is. So I actually admire what you're saying is like time to show up and create. What the hell do I work on? It's a problem I don't have because of the aforementioned lack of discipline. Please continue.
And I'll mention another problem, which I don't. Maybe you don't have this either. Which is, so actually, I got really inspired over the last weekend because I had this song that was been torturing me because total love hate of this song. Loved the song.
Your own song or a
I wrote a song and I loved the verses, and the chorus just, I hated it. And I went to this songwriting camp, and basically the big head cheese, this woman Judy Stakey, she basically convinced me that my big weakness is that I can't write choruses for shit. So that's my big.
Thank you. Fun time at camp. Thank you, Judy.
She said lots of nice things.
But
Also,
yeah, yeah, I remember that, and I remember you saying about this camp that because this was sort of a new idea for me. I sort of thought it's like you either wrote something and it was brilliant when it came out, or it wasn't. Like I sort of thought the song was born at the moment it was born, but this was sort of a new revelation when you talked about this, that you like work over a song, and you might just like keep working at the chorus and just be like, this isn't right, this isn't right, this isn't right until you get it there.
yeah, and I mean, I've been reading about different methods for addressing this problem, and some people, there's this great guy, I'm on his mailing list, named Mike Monday, and he basically says don't suffer under things. Just like, well, he's got a method where you listen to it, you make 3 notes, that's it, you go and you address those 3 things, and then if you're inspired to keep going, great, but if you're not inspired, just don't work. Just like, don't drive angry. You just don't work on it if you're if you're not in a good place with it.
Don't drive angry. That's good. Yeah.
So um so anyway, and for me, some of the songs I'm the most happy with, like I did a song which about the Italian lesson.
Yeah, the Italian phrasebook song.
And that
Yeah.
song I wrote the music for that one day.
It's
And
genius. This is
3 lines.
purely a genius song. It's absolute genius.
And but the way it's really taught me a lesson, because I wrote 3 lines to it, and then because it's all in Italian and I don't know Italian, but I was like, this should be in Italian. So I wrote 3 Italian words, and then it languished for a decade. And then 10 years later, I picked it up and finished it in 3 days. And I was like, okay, so this, and that I like it so much that it proved the point that this is a way of collaborating through time. Like my future self can be my editor when I'm smarter.
That's cool. It takes some pressure off too, right? Because you could just be sort of like, I can't finish this. Future Feff will get this.
Yeah. And so that's sort of how I felt about this song that I just was recently working on. I hated the chorus, and finally, what I realized was I redid the chorus a bunch of different times. I tried to come up with all this stuff, and it was all just, it felt like I was sticking different kinds of turd onto this beautiful thing.
Right.
Every time I tried it. And finally I was just like, what if I just had no chorus? I just, all the parts that I liked, and just took all the choruses and just removed it.
Yeah. This is current. This is just happening these weeks.
Yeah. And this is the thing that I'm currently excited about. And I really like it. And so now I have this whole music video idea, which is great because it's all about this. It's about having superpowers. Like it's like a superhero movie of a guy who has powers that he can't control.
Oh, cool.
And so he's things up all the time,
Yeah.
and he's just like trying to figure this out.
He's like, what is it? That's awesome. What instrument is the main thing? Can you do a snippet?
Well, I can sort of, but it really evolves. So it starts off really minimal, just like a Fender Rhodes, and it just like,
can you do some? You want to do some?
Well, let's see if this thing, it starts very extremely minimal. It takes a second for the second speaker to turn on. Let's see. It sort of starts. It says, oh, I'm trying to find a use for all this power in my brain.
Yeah.
Fire hose got loose. It's jumping around and spraying, just trying to explain it somehow, to tie it down to something to contain it, and keep it out of China shops till I learn how to train it. Oh, I tie my feet to ropes so I don't float away and destroy the lives of everyone that needs me every day. But sometimes I think if I could just fly. So then,
man, that's amazing. So,
thanks.
And this is the one that then you were going to put chorus-I in between.
There was going to be a chorus there. Every time I tried to build a chorus there, it was just like disaster.
And so you're just, instead it's like verse to verse that builds each verse.
Yeah, and then the next verse is bigger, and then it goes off into this whole other musical thing where it's just like all these instruments and drums and guitar comes in, and it's just like this musical explosion. So for the video, I've have all these ideas for. I've been watching these tutorials for what do you call it, the Adobe Premiere and After Effects, of how you can like make lasers come out of your eyes and make things explode and fly and stuff like that, and like be big.
It could even be really cool if it was just super like janky effects. If it looked really chintzy, that could almost be even kind of a stylistic choice. Like you wouldn't have to make it be beautiful.
That's what I was, and I was also thinking that just starting it, because it starts so simple with just voice and keys, that it would start just like a regular guy's playing keys, but then all of a sudden start weird things. You start seeing weird things, and then all of a sudden he turns invisible, and then like he starts
Yeah.
like the backdrop changes and he's falling out of an airplane, but he has the piano and the guitar. It's just like
Yeah.
all these, just the cheesiest effects that I could come up with, all in a row. So it's exciting.
Man, so how recent is this? When was this born?
You mean the new?
This song? Yeah. I mean, how long have you been working on this? It's just like you do this, you just like pull out these unbelievably genius songs, and you just do it, and you're like excited about it for 2 weeks, and then you go however far they go, and then you leave it behind. You've got this like catalog of genius.
I don't know about all that, but
Well, how long have you been working on this one?
well, this one. I remember this actually came. I remember working on this either right before or right after I went out to California and hung out with you.
Oh, so a few years ago.
Yeah, so that I wrote it and I played the version with the really crappy chorus with the band that I was in at the time.
Okay. Okay.
But
So this is, I see. Now it's clicking for me. This is one of these examples of you coming back around to something and it being ready, and just the time is right and you pick it up and it clicks.
Right.
This is like the Italian phrasebook song.
Yes, kind of. Here's the other problem, because now I sort of have the project. Like if the Stephen King metaphor, like I got the book that I'm working on, and I just have to do the next so many pages.
Right.
But I do have a certain hesitation because of, I don't know what it is.
Is this coming back around to what you decide? How do you decide what to do in the morning? Or did we have to get off on a different rabbit hole?
Well, I mean, that is where it started, because I do come to this. There's this. Well, okay, yeah, it does come around to that, because when I had this idea for the video, I was like, I'm thinking to myself, okay, what should I be doing? Should I be like writing more songs? Should I write a song every day? Should I get up in the morning, just write a piece of crap, and then look at it later, and just, because that's the way you get good at something. Just do it every day. So I think, what is the thing I do every day that I end up getting good at? But then I think, but I have all these like visual ideas that I would like to I like to visualize the songs in terms of videos. And so there's this great online learning thing called Domestika. I think it's like mostly South American. I didn't really realize it at first that all the teachers are teaching in Spanish, but there's subtitles.
I'm just bilingual, so it didn't even really register for me. I just started participating.
No, it's I just was like excited about all these courses. I bought like 4 of them because they're like $10 each.
Okay.
They're like using After Effects to like animate characters, because I have another song I wanted to do where I wanted to take this character and have all these things happen to him. And I'm thinking, if I want to do videos, I need to get good at these visual mediums.
Right. Media, but yes.
Media. This doesn't sound right though.
No, you're right. It's media. It should be mediums.
So that's the thing. And I saw this great class that was all about psychedelic effects, how you can you create these colors, these psychedelic like neon that sort of shift in the background. And I was thinking, well, if I could green screen, if I could like mask out my eyes or whatever and have all this like crazy stuff happening, it would be for this. But that's a whole skill that I don't have.
Right.
So that's part of the thing where I'm just like, the idea sounds pretty great, but I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So,
well, it is great.
Yeah.
So, but that's it. That's the end of the road. Is that I don't know how to do it. I mean, we all go through that. But like, I thought you were going to say. So I realized if I get up in the morning and I thought we were going for the big payoff here, the big realization.
Well, but how do you know? Like, out of all of these things, it's like everything you work on is a bet. Like when Stephen King is on that book, he thinks that book idea is really gonna pay off. And I guess this is part of my hesitation. Is this song in particular, like, is this really gonna be worth all this effort? I don't know.
Right.
should I do it with like, should I be learning how to do explosions with green screens and laser beams coming out of my real eyes, or
Right,
should I be
right,
drawing
right.
cartoons? And each one of these is a really long path of learning that I don't even haven't even started yet.
Right. Well, okay, I get it now. So it's sort of like, yeah, and it is. There's a crassness to being having to make it a bet, right? There's a crassness to having to be like, oh, I really like the song, and I've got this idea, so now I have to learn how to do After Effects, and or the crassness is like, I have to bet enough on this idea to pour the next 8 months and hundreds of dollars and thousands of hours and whatever into making this idea happen, because I think this is the idea. And that's what always freezes us up, right? Because you get so like, okay, I'm going to push this one. And it's always hard to push through. And eventually you're just like, I don't know, I'm excited about something else, or this is depressing, or I didn't get the feedback I wanted. But just because you just played this, and I was reminded of your great songwriting genius, which we've talked about before, and I really think it's true. Like I'm not even blowing smoke here. I think you have, what is this window popping up in front of me? I'm trying to look at Feff. A new version is available. Not the time.
Appropriate interruption.
Exactly. Stay out of here. We're recording. You have this genius, dude. You have this incredible genius. The Italian phrasebook song is that, yeah, it is. I mean, I know you're supposed to nod and say no, but it's true. And I think that's the most unique contribution you can make, is writing those songs. And I think there's a lot of other people, and you're the only one who can write those songs like that and has your bizarre, genius and malfunction in your brain that can produce those things. And I think there's a lot of other people who could create the video and the lasers coming out of eyes and would be excited by your thinking of the idea, right? So I think those are the two, maybe like the one sort of probably top of the pyramid contribution is writing that song. And that's what you can do that nobody else in the world can do. And then this sort of second tier is like, here's what a great video could be, because that's also another one of your talents, but probably other people could also come up with great ideas for a great video. And then there's like actually making the video. Probably a whole lot of people could do that better than you and love to do that and would want to spend their life doing that. And you could be moved on then to the next genius song or vision or idea. Doesn't that, I mean, because isn't that part of the problem is we just don't have the team. You don't know who to turn to be like, here's
It's a real, yeah, like in a way, like if I'm going to learn how to animate a character to walk and fly and whatever, then at least I've gotten this new skill out of it. Whereas if I'm actually paying someone to do this, then that's a real bet. Then I'm like, and after, well, I guess it's a bad example, but I look at Master Luke, which, there was a couple people who were like, that's your song, that's the one, that's the thing, and I spent all this time filming this stuff, and then you sort of like, I just don't have a way of telling people about it or whatever. It's just, and also I did it all myself, so it's not very good. Like you said, like there are people who are good at this.
Okay, it sounded like you said that I said that it wasn't very good. But you're saying that I said there are people who are good at this. Yeah, and there are people who are good at it. It's funny. Well, I have the same, as you know, I have the very same sickness, do it all yourself type of thing.
But you have a profession. I mean, you look at Daddy Skills or any of those things. I mean, that's like top notch filmmaking. You know how to use the camera, you know how to edit, you know how to do all that stuff.
Well, I appreciate it. And that is sort of a curse just as much as it's a blessing, because I like can get an idea and I just am like, I'm just staring up at Mount Kilimanjaro going like, I don't know if I can scale this mountain. Like I know what a mountain that is. Whereas if I was just, if I either didn't know how to do it, or I could finally make peace with just hiring someone to take an idea and execute it like they should, then I could just have the idea, create the song, hire the people, and then they'd be off and running. You know what I mean? And I could still sort of like creatively direct it. But I think it's just as much curse as blessing. I mean, it's meant that I've been able to push some good things out the door, but 3 over the past 8 to 9 years. So that's not quite, I don't think, where I need to be.
So then what do you do? Like, how do you get other people?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is just right in line with my film projects, right? It's like I have these great ideas, and then I think I'm still stuck in this sort of like 20s, from my 20s, where you like gather people together who are hey, do you want to do this cool thing? And you grab a camera and you grab a this and you grab a that. And that's actually when I did that TV show scene. It was that kind of production. And so I instinctively go there. But when I've been reaching out to more professional people, camera people and whatever, they're just kind of like, well, what's the date and what does it pay? And that makes so much sense. They're professionals. These are people who know what they're doing. And that's what you do. First you get a date, then you find the person. You get a date and a rate, and then you find the person who's willing to do the date and the rate. And I've just never worked that way, but I know that I have to. And that's one advantage. Like, there's so many disadvantages to being this relatively later in life, trying to make it in the creative world. One advantage is you have a bit more financial security, so you could put aside some money to make those bets. Even if it's not much, it's not like when you're eating ramen when you're younger. You probably do have that. To heck with the family vacations. I want to make videos of myself.
Honey, this is important.
Right. Man, that's amazing, though. I love that song. I love that song.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, all right then. That's good check-in.
Good check-in.
Thanks, man.
We're trying. It's a good experiment. I think this actually means this will be live. This is like already live. So people, no one can already be watching it.
All right. Hello, no one.
Yeah. Hello, no one. All right, man. Talk to you.
Thanks.
All right. So should I end broadcast? I guess so. Was there anything else we should finish up, or is that?
Okay, so maybe what we could also try, I purchased the mid version of Ecamm.
Wait, this might still be recording. It still says it's recording. Hi, everyone.
Before you, and my credit card number that I used, that seems.